Okay.
Hey everybody, welcome to today's guest speaker. I'm Trisha Sheehan, and if you don't know me, I'm a holistic health coach and certified essential oil coach, and I bring really awesome guest speakers to the group Functional Essential Oil Education. And if you aren't in the group yet, check us out on Facebook. Just search on that term, Functional Essential Oil Education, and you can hear from a variety of different experts and dig into the science and safety and hot topics of essential oils. And today we have Kelly Tingler with us. She is a physician's assistant, conventionally trained, and a mom of two little girls. And we're going to talk today about what she thinks of essential oils. So Kelly, maybe real quick, can you tell everyone a little bit more about your background?
Sure, absolutely. So I'm from Florida. I live in Florida now. And like Trisha mentioned, I have been a physician assistant since 2009. It's when I graduated. And I went to the University of Florida, very conventionally trained. Growing up, and especially in my training, really wasn't into like natural approaches or natural medicine at all. And so when I started practicing, that wasn't really on my radar until I had kind of my own health crisis, I would say. And I think oftentimes that's what happens with medical providers, especially, is that when somebody close to them in their family, a spouse or a mom or a dad, or themselves personally has an experience, a crisis, they often turn away from how they're trained and towards something a little bit more holistic or natural. And that was definitely my experience. And it started me on a journey. Once I realized that these things worked, it just started me on a journey to say, okay, if I now feel like I know more of the truth, and I know how to get to the root cause of a disease and actually fix it versus just treating the symptoms of it. And I didn't feel like I could provide my patients any less anymore. And so I felt like if I was going to be practicing medicine, that I needed to do it, what I felt was the right way. And so that was started in about 2014. So for the past 4 years or so, I've really been diving into functional medicine, reading and learning as much as I possibly could. I've also been staying home most of the time with my two little girls. And so I've been doing this on the side. And then I just recently started working at I've been practicing functional medicine at a practice now for the past few months. And so that's been it's been a fun journey, and I'm still learning and growing, but yeah.
Awesome. Very cool. And when did you first hear about essential oils specifically?
I would probably say maybe 3 years ago. I mean, I heard about essential oils, I'm sure, for a long time, but never really, like I said, looked into it or gave it much thought. And I was experiencing some of the symptoms I was personally, a lot of headaches, a lot of neck pain. There were some other things that came up. I just got to the point where I was like, I can't constantly be taking ibuprofen. I know it wasn't good for me. And there's got to be another solution. And so that's when I finally was like, well, maybe I need to look into these essential oils. And so I did, and got some kind of cheap oils from somewhere, and had a few experiences where they really worked well. And they at least kept me off ibuprofen or other things that I was taking. And one experience in particular is I had gotten poison ivy from out weeding in my garden, and or in my yard at least. And I was trying prescription steroid creams. I was trying Benadryl to sleep, and I just was itching all the time and scratching. And I said, well, I've got some of these oils. I'd gotten a kit of several different ones. Let me, research and see if one of these oils would work. And sure enough, I think it came up with tea tree. And so I started putting tea tree on, and just immediately the itching stopped. And it worked better than I was able to sleep at night. I didn't need to take Benadryl. And so for me, that was the first time I was like, whoa, this stuff's going to work better than prescription, steroid cream or whatever. That was the thing that really turned the light on for me. And I thought, okay, I need to look into this a little bit more, and I need to research kind of a better brand and that kind of thing. And that's where we stumbled across doTERRA. So,
okay. Can you speak a little bit more to that? Like, why doTERRA for you?
Once I started learning a little bit more about the company, I really, their commitment to purity really stood out to me, and the testing that goes into it, very, very scientific. And then also, I just love that the fact that the company goes to where the oil grows best in the world. That just makes sense to me. The right climate, the right amount of humidity, the right elevation. That just made sense. And then the other part of that is like they're buying from local farmers. And so I felt like we're almost stimulating the economies of other countries around the world. These are also farmers who have been probably doing this for hundreds of years because their family has been growing it for that period of time. So I feel like they probably know how to handle the product pretty well. So yeah, those were the two things that really sold doTERRA for me, was the purity of it and just where they get their products from.
Okay, awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And I know a lot of other health professionals or health coaches, they want to understand more about how do you actually integrate essential oils into your care plan, or when people come to see you at Faithfully Guided Health Center, how do oils get incorporated or not incorporated? How do you work that?
So for me, I think initially most people are still in the mindset of they want their symptoms to be managed. And in functional medicine, we understand that most things are just symptoms. Like when you go to a regular doctor, you're going to have a headache and they're going to give you a medicine for a headache. But at a functional doctor, they're going to say, okay, you have this headache, and let's give you, some options to treat the headache, but we've got to get underneath and figuring out what's causing the headache. So for me, I feel like essential oils are great at symptom management. And it's a good way to kind of have somebody who's maybe not been exposed to oils before to kind of step in a little bit, because they're just looking for relief most of the time. And they're looking for an action step, and they're still in the mindset of I need to go home from the doctor with something. We're kind of still, and that's kind of people we are. Like, give me an answer, And so I really try to use them, at least initially, as a symptom management type thing, whether that be a headache. I have a lot of patients with gut issues and a lot of different gut symptoms. And so when I'm able to, give them some Digest Zen and it works, it's mind blowing to them. Mm-hmm. I had a guy that came into the center. He actually wasn't a patient of mine. He was in the center for another reason. And he was having a lot of gut issues. And our receptionist actually just had some peppermint and goes, here, try this peppermint. And he just had this experience with it. It just made him better, like immediately. And he came back a few days later, and the first thing he said when he came into the center is, I need some of that stuff that you gave me last time. Yeah. And so I said, well, I've got something better actually. And because I was out there at this time. And so I gave him some Digest Zen, and he didn't care how much it cost. He just needed the stuff that was going to make him feel better. Yeah. And so a lot of people have that experience because you're helping to manage their symptoms. For me and my family, essential oils has pretty much replaced everything in the medicine cabinet. I don't go to over-the-counter medicines or even a lot of prescription stuff. I can avoid all kinds of things. I've got stories, but I can avoid doing that type of stuff because I've got oils that will fix the problem. And so that's what my hope is for my clients too, is that they can look to natural solutions, and there's natural things that can be solutions for them in their home, and also for symptom management. And a big part of what we do is detoxification as well. And so I try to fit that into our we call it a wellness plan, but we give each patient a personalized wellness plan after they've we've gathered the information and seen them. We give them a personalized plan. And that's a big part of that is, okay, we've got to think about toxins in our environment here. And we have different detoxification things we offer here at the center, but on a daily basis, we've got to teach them that they can remove toxins. Your environment's never going to be toxin free, but we can help remove toxins from the environment through their cleaning products or their cosmetic products or their makeup, especially for women. That's a huge, huge piece of it. So I think those two things would be the main keys: symptom management initially, and also detoxification, supports detoxification. but then some of these new oils that are coming out, like the turmeric, I mean, there's a lot of research behind turmeric. And now that I'm reading that the oil's a lot more bioavailable than the powder. I mean, you're giving people so many more options when you come out with products like that. So that's really exciting.
Yeah, awesome. And what about at home with the kids or just with you and your husband? What are some of your favorite ways to use it, or any testimonials or anything like that?
Oh, goodness. Gosh, all of my cleaning stuff is On Guard at this point. We've really enjoyed the On Guard mouthwash that just came out. In fact, I have a patient who has pretty severe periodontal disease. I want to get her started on that and kind of track her progress. But anyway, back to our home. Jim he has a retainer, a permanent retainer, and he gets, the dentist calls, or his hygienist calls them barnacles on his retainer that she each year has to kind of get off. And he's been using the mouthwash, and it's been taking off that sediment on its own just by using the mouthwash, which is really cool.
Oh, wow.
Yes. All of our cosmetic products are pretty much switched over to doTERRA, and I'm using my rosemary oil in our shampoo to kind of thicken my hair because I just tend to have thin hair. With the kids, my kids they ask for the oils now if their tummy is upset. We love Digest Zen, the roller ball especially, but we do that, or we do lavender for bug bites. A few months back, no, this was a year ago, Hurricane Irma hit our area in 2017, and we had actually just returned from a trip to Europe for like 10 days. So we had like stressful event, and then we had the hurricane. It was more stress, and we were out of power, and it was just a lot of stress at the time. And so we had gotten sick. I think we had colds. Most of the kids and Jim had colds, and then there was a stomach bug going around. And I had started my stomach was hurting, and so I started just putting on Digest Zen, and it wasn't really working, which doesn't typically happen. Like usually if I have a tummy problem, I put Digest Zen on and it goes away. And so I started to internally take Digest Zen, and still my stomach was upset. Well, the other family members quickly started, throwing up and having issues. And I kept doing the Digest Zen pretty regularly, and I was putting some Digest Zen on then, but I don't think I started it as soon as I could have with them. And I actually never threw up, which is pretty amazing because the rest of the family was repeatedly having issues. So that was pretty amazing to me. I still felt bad in my stomach. I still had to kind of work through that virus, but never actually threw up, which was a big thing. So that's kind of a graphic example, but I'm sorry about that. But I just feel like we're overall healthier. The oils are not, the oils are part of an overall healthy living plan. We eat well, we make sure we get rest, we take vitamin D, especially during the winter. But I feel more confident that I can roll on Guard onto my kids every morning before school. And I have a little bit of comfort in knowing, okay, maybe, it's helping them prevent illness. And so far, in cold and flu season, we've been okay. So
yeah, same here with ours. I just line them up at breakfast, swipe them up and down their backs, and say, off you go.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, very cool. So you mentioned internal use, and this tends to be kind of a hot topic in the essential oil world. And we dive into this in greater detail in a functional essential oil education. But what's your opinion about that?
Here's my opinion about internal use. I typically don't feel like I have to go there. I mostly use the oils topically. I mean, we have them in the diffuser, but if I'm really wanting them to work, I'm putting them on our skin. And I feel like they're so effective when I use them topically, and your skin is going to absorb that oil very quickly anyway, especially if you're using a carrier oil, that it gets into your bloodstream within minutes. And I think that's amazing to me too, because we don't often think about what we're putting on our skin. We don't think of our skin as an organ, that it is going to absorb that stuff, but everything we put on there, it's going to get into our bloodstream eventually. So I feel like the oils are so effective topically. I rarely do internalize the oils. I did in that case because I thought, this isn't working as good as it usually is on like right on my tummy. Let me try. But I will sometimes, especially on guard. If I think I'm getting sick, I'll do internal. I think with anything can be toxic. It's all about the amount. And just because it's natural doesn't mean that it's necessarily safe. And so that's why I talk to my friends and my clients about getting educated. And then I want to be their educator when it comes to oils, because you need to learn. These things are powerful. And so you need to learn how to use them properly. And so just because it's natural doesn't mean it's safe. And you have to remember that your body has to process whatever you're putting on it or putting in it. And so, yeah, I'm not completely against it, but I don't feel like I often have to use them internally because they work so well when I use them topically.
Got it. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any other sort of tips like that about safe use that you like to share with your patients or other clients to help people understand how to use them reasonably and safely?
Mm-hmm. So I always recommend people to test their skin with them. So some people just tend to have more sensitive skin. I'm not one of those people, but there are people who are just more sensitive in general to all things. And so I always recommend, testing on your forearm and see if you have a reaction. I'm very careful, especially when it comes to kids, especially under 2, that we're diluting significantly. Their little bodies, they're pretty tough, but they're much smaller than we are. And we've got to just remember that. So that was really something that got me into becoming a wellness advocate, as I was pro oil for a while, but did not become attach myself to one company or become an advocate until I started seeing, I felt like kind of the misuse when it comes to kids. Like they were just, I felt like applying too liberally to kids and using oils that I probably wouldn't have used on a kid. Because I do have a background in pediatrics. And so that's what really got me into it, is like, okay, somebody needs to be out there educating people how to properly use this stuff. And so I'm very, very careful, especially under the age of 2. I'm only using certain oils. And then from there, just remembering to dilute. And so those are my main suggestions. I mean, there's a lot of different things when I teach classes we go through, but those are probably the main things safety wise.
Okay, perfect. If somebody wanted to connect with you to start trying some oils, get some support from you, what is your website?
Well, I have a website. It's called thejourneytohealth.com. So that's kind of a side business that I do the oils through. And then we also have a health blog there that I try to add to on a regular basis. So you can email me at kelly@thejourneytohealth.com, or you can visit the website, thejourneytohealth.com, and get in contact with me through there as well. The place I'm working at now is called Faithfully Guided Health Center. It's in downtown Ocala, Florida. The website for that is fghealthcenter.com. It's a really, really neat center where we're actually, medical providers are working hand in hand with counselors to actually treat all aspects of the body. We are faith-based, so we feel like treating the spirit, the mind, and the body is really what's going to give you optimal health. And so there's not a lot of other places doing this. And I find that I can get my patients to a much better place when I have the support of a counselor, kind of as we're working together on them and addressing all types of issues. A lot of doctors don't know how to address stress, and stress is so impactful when it comes to health. I mean, it can just do major things. And so the fact that I've got somebody on my team that can help address the stress component is just huge. So I love it. It's been fun. So check out those 2 websites. You can get in contact with me or learn more about me. And feel free.
Hopefully someday you guys will offer something online for those of us who don't live in Florida. Because what you guys are doing is really special and unique and forward thinking.
Yeah, I hope so. We want to just replicate ourselves eventually, versus bringing everybody to us. Let's just get this model out there and just start replicating it all over the country. So yeah, it's exciting.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate you being here with us today. And I know that everyone listening is going to learn a lot, and just having a physician's assistant and a mom, give an opinion about the oils and how to use them safely is just tremendously empowering. So thank you so much.
Thanks, Trish. I really enjoyed it. Thanks for having me.